With season 2 of Oshi No Ko just around the corner, set to be coming out this July, it's got me thinking, looking back at where the series started to where it is now. Because, wow! Does it feel like the community is more divided than it ever has been before? And I'm not just saying this lightly. I'm saying this in the way that I'm afraid that if the anime catches up to where the manga currently is, I don't think fans are going to be able to receive it with open arms like they did with season 1. I'm surprised at how quickly fans' opinions on the series changed by just a singular moment, really. This feels like we are in one of the most pivotal moments for Oshi No Ko as a series. In the next few years, this arc can be seen as one of many great, fantastic arcs that made the modern classic that is known as Oshi No Ko. Or it could be the arc that led to the downfall of the series and made it go on so many worst anime ending lists. But here I want to dig in a little bit deeper and just think for myself whether or not these decisions that the series made are actually making the series worse, or if it's just an incredible overreaction by the fan base. Hi y'all. I'm Bayfond, and I think to start off, I have to talk about the elephant in the room. The elephant that's in the shape of a brother-sister duo that's kind of weirdly too close, you know, a little bit too close for comfort. It looks a little bit weird for everyone, and it has some allegations thrown its way. And if I can be so bold, it's guilty. Yes, in chapter 143, Ruby confessed to Aqua, and they kissed not once, but twice. Granted, one of them was for the movie, but it's still weird because, you know, they're siblings, and this just sparked a flame in the community that just has everyone in a little bit of a tizzy. Half of the community regrets the decision of ever getting involved with the series and getting attached to any of these characters, because why are they gonna support something that's this odd, strange, weird, whatever the hell you wanna say? And then the other half of the community just wants to double down and see where this train wreck's gonna go. Because if this is what we're doing right now, it can only get more wild from here, right? And taking in both of these opinions into consideration, I gotta say that if you weren't expecting a confession or a revelation like this, then I don't know what series you've been reading, because it sure as hell isn't Oshi No Ko. This has been teased all the way back since episode 1 or the first few chapters if you want to go that far. Serena was always in love with the doctor that was helping her out with her illness. That's not just something that went away when she just reincarnated. And with both of them actually revealing their identities, this was destined to happen sooner than later. But now, am I saying that because this has been foreshadowed for years, that this means that this is peak storytelling? Not necessarily. I'm just saying that this is something that we should have all expected. In my personal opinion, how I wish this went down was that Ruby and Aqua now know each other's true identities. That feeling that Serena had just, you know, gradually changed into more of a brotherly love towards Aqua. Because that's the only way they've been seeing each other for like who knows how long. But that's just me with my hopeful wishes. Oshi No Ko is a series about two people that are hell-bent to get revenge. So, you know, obsession and just like weird psychotic personalities. So this kind of fits in with all that too, I guess. But an opinion that I personally have that might go down badly, who knows, we'll see, is that I don't think that Aka Akasaka, the mangaka for this story, is actually willing to go down this route. If the story was written by the artist Mengo, then yeah, definitely, I could have seen this way being the end goal for everything. But Aka's more cautious. He's the kind of author that likes to surprise and then delight. He likes to subvert your expectations at every single turn. This is kind of more like surprise and leave you shocked, which works, but I don't think that he's the kind of mangaka that wants to divide his fan base this much. Well, everyone's unstable. We haven't really seen anyone make a decision that's so rash that just makes it all just kind of feel really dumb and useless. I feel like Aqua's a more reasonable person that's willing to put an end to this before it grows into just being something a little bit more problematic. And I think this is all funny that we actually got to this point. We've been joking about memes for Aqua and Ruby for years, and now it's actually weaved its way into the story, and we don't really know how to feel about it. I guess that theory about I being reincarnated as Ruby and Aqua's kid has more possibility now than it ever has before. And it also doesn't help out that Akane and Kana have been sort of pushed in the side when it comes to this romance side of stuff. Akasaka always likes to have a stand-in for Maki over here. But I think this is going to be something that is going to resolve itself in time. I don't think that it's going to be as big as a deal as everyone's been saying. This isn't the first time that Oshi No Ko has seen criticism from fans. There's the fact that in the arcs, which the anime is about to get into, that Ruby is going to have significantly lower screen time. I mean, honestly, it feels like she's just delegated to like a partial side character that shows up once every 6 months or so. Hopefully they'll fix that in the anime. And then there's also the effect of the implementation of the supernatural elements with gods and deities and stuff like that that are thrown into Oshi No Ko that just kind of made everyone just feel like, huh? Yeah, I mean, me personally, that was probably the thing that made me the most iffy about this entire series, is when we were talking a little bit more about Tsukuyomi, the little crow girl slash three-eyed raven god deity that's responsible for Aqua and Ruby being reincarnated. We were wondering, why is this creepy little girl actually following them along and watching them as they're doing this stuff? Is she the villain? Is she the culprit behind Kameki wanting to kill Ai? What's going on here? What's her purpose? Is there something else? And the inclusion of like physical gods in this world was pretty weird too, because this is supposed to take place in the same world as Kaguya-sama and Renai Daiko Love Agency. But back to Tsukuyomi, this crow girl, her mask of being mysterious has kind of been broken down time after showing up so often. Until in the more recent chapter of 145, we see that the reason that Tsukuyomi revived Aqua and Ruby wasn't because they're supposed to fulfill some sort of prophecy, they're supposed to save someone or do something important. It's because they saved her while she was in the form of a crow back in their past lives. And she was so grateful of this that she just followed them along, living their lives in the hospital as they had fun and talked to each other, and until they both inevitably died. And the reason she brought them back wasn't for some greater, grander purpose, but because she wanted them to be happy. So this really cryptic, creepy girl that had really kind of obvious malicious intent towards them turned out to just be the biggest tsundere of them all. And also a pretty damn good actor. I mean, she's on the level of a child prodigy over here. And I think this is an example of a decision that was made that fans just grew to love. And usually in reincarnation stories like this, there isn't a reason given to why these characters are brought back. Anime fans are usually just okay to just take it on the chin. And reincarnation stories like this that aren't isekais or set in fantasy worlds, we're almost never given a reason. But Akasaka wanted to do it, and it's actually gone in a direction that I've been enjoying. And I can say that about the entire current arc that we've been in for Oshi No Ko. Because right now, where we're at is the culmination of all the arcs melding together. Right now, they're filming the Hoshi no Ai backstory, and it's given us a lot of things to really think about. It's shown us, by actually showing us scenes from the movie, how Ai and Kameki's relationship was forming, how they grew attached, and more about them on a personal level. I mean, we know that Aqua and Ruby's dad is a villain. We know that he's one of the most evil people to ever exist in this universe, but we're also meant to sympathize with him because we see his abuse as a young child. Granted, we don't know if he's another like reincarnated person. I doubt it, but we see that he's a little bit more tortured than what we were expecting. But look, no matter how tragic they make his backstory, I will never trust him around any of our characters. I mean, I bet these panels alone cause anxiety attacks in pretty much anyone that views him. Ruby has a 50-50 chance at being safe here. And this leads me to believe how many of these things are real. How many of these things actually happen? How much of this is over-exaggerated? I mean, they really gotta pump some stuff up because this is a movie they're making, so it's not gonna be 100% accurate to what really happened. And I'm sure that there's a ton of stuff that they're still not showing us. I'm asking questions every single time a new chapter comes up. I'm curious about the real reason as to why Ai's dead. Because as it seems, Kameki isn't the only person responsible here. There are other people complicit in this murder. I think that's implied pretty heavily by what we've seen by Ai's formal idol group members. They all really have this like weird hate, reverence towards her that is kind of like unfulfilled or something. I wouldn't be surprised if this is like a lead up to showing us that there's an entire cult going around trying to kill actresses before they become too big or too famous because of some sort of ritual or sacrifice or something that has to be done. Now that would really be doubling down on that entire like mystic side of stuff in this series. And moving on from what we learned about Ai, we've also been fleshing out a lot of our cast, our side characters in the story too. Kana confessed to Ruby that she's been seeing her as a rival more than a friend this entire time, which caused Ruby to be heartbroken. But it was also the push that she needed to be able to get into the right headspace that she needed to be in to play Ai correctly. I think this is a sign that a lot of these characters, after the movie finishes wrapping up, have to go to some degree of therapy after this. But then again, almost all of them needed it before too. The old manager's back, a lot of other characters that are in the stage play arc are back as well. Like I said, all of the pieces from the previous arcs are all just coming together here. And I think that adds for some pretty interesting storytelling. This kiss that happened over here, in my opinion, isn't ruining the story. It just added a little bit of spice that maybe some people are gonna be put off by, of course, but I don't think it's ruining everything. The story's not afraid to get really dark at times, and it also leads people to believe that the story's not afraid to have a really dark ending. But I don't know, I want these characters to have the best lives and I want them to have happy endings. And with that, I think that pretty much wraps up my thoughts on where Oshi No Ko currently is. Season 2 is gonna come out in a few months and it's gonna take on that stage play arc, and I think it's gonna do magnificently. For me, I prefer the anime much more than I prefer the manga. Even though I think the manga is good and great, I think the anime is as close as it can be to being a masterpiece. So even though I shared some concern about how I think some fans are gonna be receiving the anime, I'm still probably gonna be on the side of people that are tuned in watching every week because the anime is just that good. We'll see. Maybe I'm just overhyping it. Season 1 was just a fluke. We'll see. But right now, what I'd like to know is, what do you guys think about Oshi No Ko currently? Do you guys think that this kiss/confession is gonna cause a downward spiral in the series and cause it to just become the trashiest series of all time? Or do you really not care and you think that the story is good regardless? Please, let me know down in the comments below, because I think that this is gonna be a very divided comment section. And with that, as always, I was Bayfond, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.